Crypto holders, we have some really good news. We are finally starting to see institutions start to do index ETFs of crypto, and ICP has been included in CoinShares top 20 crypto ETF, which is major news. I can imagine that there are going to be a bunch of people buying into these index ETFs because a lot of people don't really understand crypto. And so for them wanting to get exposure to the asset class without really needing to know exactly what's going on, I think something like this index ETF is going to be massive. We can see Coinbase is doing something similar as well, of which ICP is already included, but ICP is getting added to another with the news as it relates here. We can see Dominic Williams actually confirming it as well. Internet Computer is included in the ProShares Coindesk Crypto 20 ETF, which is going to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange. So this is, of course, really good news. If you are wanting to stay up to date with consistent ICP updates, feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell because we're always going over new breaking news like things like this when they do happen. So feel free to do that if you are interested. Now, moving along, I want to talk about what this could mean, right? Because from a high level, I think this could be a really big deal as we start to get more institutions, maybe more retail that may not have really understood or known about ICP from the beginning. They're going to be now just by way of being involved in this index fund, they're going to have exposure to ICP. Now, ICP is a little bit of a strange one because it's super complex in terms of understanding what it actually does, how it works. The learning curve there is super high. So having people just get exposure naturally to it, I think is massive because then they'll start to watch some of the price a little bit closer and things like that, which I do think is good to see. Now, kind of on the other hand, if we do look at the crypto bubbles, we can see prices down everywhere today. We can see it's a relatively rough day to be an altcoin in the crypto market. We can see ICP down almost 8% in the past day. If we look at the week, close to 10 here, but you could see, I mean, this is not really too bad compared to some of what we've seen in the rest of the market. Things like Aster and Plasma and Chain Opera, which had been running quite well over the past little while, are actually getting kind of smacked a little bit. So we'll have to see kind of exactly what happens over the next couple of days. Frankly, the market has been really volatile. We're going to be looking through all of the different charts just to show you kind of what we're seeing and how this could impact ICP and altcoins specifically, because slightly against what we might normally expect. Tau, we can see is down a little bit today, but it has actually been performing relatively well in an otherwise kind of difficult market. If we go back on the month, it is positive. It is one of the very few positive coins in an otherwise incredibly damaging month for many of our crypto portfolios. So I want to talk about what we're seeing specifically with ICP price, how that maps to kind of the rest of the altcoins, and then go from there and kind of look at the bigger picture thing, which is Bitcoin and what Bitcoin is doing. It is doing something that it has been for a very long time, but for some reason, it just seems like people aren't quite noticing it. So I really wanted to share that with you today because I do think it is very important. Now, let's move along. You can see here on the Tau train, I do have a Tau long in here, up about 52% so far, which is looking pretty nice. We'll have to kind of, we might be managing some risk here as the market starts to look a little bit shaky. But overall, the trade here for Tau looking pretty good. We have seen, as we did see in the crypto bubbles, Tau kind of has been defying the market movement. If everything goes down, there is still that possibility that Tau does move up. So this has been good to see that it has been performing relatively well, even though the market has been just generally struggling today. Now, ICP, on the other hand, not quite doing the same. Go ahead and cut out the now ICP. On the other hand, I forgot to plug exchanges, and then I'll transition again. Now, if you are interested in following along with any of these trades, or maybe taking some of your own trades, DCAing on various things like ICP or things like that, you can feel free to use my links in the description below. I do, as you can see, use Weex personally, but BTCC does probably have the best exchange bonus with a 10% bonus on first-time deposits. But I also have worked with BloFin too. So you ICP holders and fans of ICP may want to check out BloFin and get signed up there because they're actually doing a ICP giveaway for anybody that signs up using my link in the description below. You will be able to have a chance at winning some ICP as well as up to half a Bitcoin. So there's a whole bunch of really great options and opportunities there. If you are interested, of course, like I said, you can go check out that link in the description below to BloFin. It does only last for about, I think, 10 days days now. So you do have to get signed up here soon if you are wanting to take advantage of that ICP sign up bonus. But I just want to share that with you as well. I'm really grateful to BloFin that they've been able to kind of work with me and provide me something that that my community I think will really like. So like I said, check that if you are interested. I did want to move over and talk about the ICP chart, because as you can see here, the ICP chart is it's looked better. Well, I mean, it's looked pretty rough the whole year, right? But it has looked better than this, if we can believe it. What you can see right now is we are really kind of struggling on that $3 mark right now. We've just broken below the $3 mark, but you can see we have had some wicks down below. It does seem like we are really, really trying our darndest to hold above that $3 range. We will have to see kind of exactly what happens here, but we are seeing a little bit of weakness showing both in ICP and as well as the rest of the crypto market. You can see, obviously, we saw the really difficult move down on that liquidation push here, and then we weren't really able to fully recover back up to where we were prior to, which is slightly unfortunate, especially if we look at and compare it to the total 3 chart. If we look at the total 3 chart, you will see that it also had a massive push down, but it seemed to be able to recover a little bit better. However, the more I do look at it, it does look a little bit more similar to ICP. It just didn't push down with the same, let's call it like intensity, right? This was only about maybe 15%, maybe 20% top to bottom. I think closer to 15, where ICP was more like 25, maybe even 30% kind of top to bottom. So definitely much more of a downward push and downward momentum from ICP there, but it is kind of generally following a similar structure. What you will see over the past couple of days is we did have that kind of little pump and then dump right back down, basically giving away everything that we did see come back in terms of gains, which is unfortunate. I was hoping that we'd be able to hold above this $1 trillion range for the altcoin market. That would have definitely been a good thing to see. But as you can see on the 4-hour chart, we are starting to see price really start to squeeze here on the hourly. So that could be a good thing. That could also be a bad thing, because that generally does mean that volatility is coming. Which direction, we really don't know. So hopefully let's pray for some green candles, but also there is that possibility that we see kind of a further push down to the downside. We will just truly have to see. Now, if we look at Bitcoin, we can see something very interesting about Bitcoin that I wanted to really call you guys out to. If you look, we obviously had this push here, but then after this really strong dump, like this, really maybe we could have considered and kind of chalked this up to like a liquidity grab, really kind of wrecking longs to the ups, or wrecking shorts to the upside, and then coming back down and wrecking all the longs to the downside as people got bullish, thinking that we were breaking new all-time highs, thinking that we were going to 150K, 200K, 400K, whatever number that you want to throw out there. But if you look at it from the bigger picture and look at it on the daily chart, you can see that we have just gone right back into this descending channel we were in prior to this breakout. And so this, I think, maybe could be chalked up to some sort of kind of grand scheme of a fake out here, of which we are right back in on this descending channel. Now, if you look at what this descending channel potentially means, it does mean that we could potentially go lower. We could even get down into the $100,000 range for Bitcoin. And then, of course, we just do need to wait to see a push back to the upside here and a breakout from this descending channel. Now, historically, while Bitcoin has been in this descending channel, this is not good for altcoins generally. So in the short term, this may not be particularly a positive thing for ICP. However, what we have started to see with the total 3 is it has held relatively strongly and relatively tightly to Bitcoin as it kind of does this sort of thing. Now, you can see it's not quite in a descending channel like we'd seen before. I mean, you could kind of maybe say that if we'll just do kind of a super quick map here. You could maybe say it's kind of this type of thing, in which case it does look fairly similar. We did see, alts kind of breaking out and holding out above longer than what we saw out of Bitcoin, but it does kind of look generally similar. Now, if this is the case for alts as well, you will see that, there is the possibility, depending on how long we go, we potentially get down into the 900 billion range, which could be about a further 8 to 10% drop from here, and again, potentially even further, depending on how long we're sitting in this type of descending channel. Now, altcoins generally don't trade in this descending channel like Bitcoin does, so I don't want to give you the wrong idea that this is exactly what's going to happen. I would be looking here much more closely to just kind of see what happens with Bitcoin on the short-term time frame. But as you can see, we are basically right in the middle of this channel. So anything up until about 114,000, maybe we see something happen, right? Anything is down as low to about 101,000, maybe we see something happen, but we really can't trust any sort of move on until we get towards either end of this channel here. So anything else in here, you can see, as we've seen in the past, it's just chop. If you do trade off of this descending channel like we have been doing for months and months and months in the past, when you get to the bottom, generally a decent time to buy. You can set your stop losses relatively close to the bottom outside the channel. And then when we get to the top, generally more often than not, a decent time to sell until we see a confirmed breakout. But like if you would have sold here, you did well. If you would have sold here, you did miss a little bit, of course, but then you would have you would have had chances to buy lower. And then even if you would have bought here, probably a decent time to sell, decent time to sell. So hopefully you can see kind of the history of this descending channel generally is pretty accurate and it looks pretty good. So if you are interested, of course, just kind of feel free to like, subscribe, follow along. We do try to find trends like this going on within the crypto market, and hopefully they do provide value to you. Now, if you do have any questions, comments, anything like that, do feel free to leave those in the comment section below, because I do try to help answer those wherever I can. Kind of the TLDR and the main takeaway from this video, I think, is really, I still do believe that we have upside for ICP. I still do believe that we will see ICP have its time in the sun at some point. Do I think it is happening inside the next several weeks? Very, very unlikely is probably the unfortunate answer that many people probably likely don't want to hear, but I do think it is probably realistically the truth here. So that is what I am looking at personally. Of course, you can make your own decisions. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe ICP will moon tomorrow. I just really don't think that I am. Now, of course, this is not financial advice. This is why you need to be doing your own research, coming to your own decisions, trading with your own money, because it is, of course, your money. So just make sure that you are, feeling comfortable with your decision, and then if you're making that decision, then hopefully you feel comfortable living with the outcome of that. Now, the thing that I will mention with ICP that I have seen a lot of recently that does make me kind of increasingly optimistic or bullish about ICP is we're seeing the community really do a lot of great things with caffeine as caffeine comes out. Now, caffeine has started, it's gone to that full release. We covered that in the last video. I do think what we are seeing coming from the community is really great, and generally with this type of thing, it is shots on goal. The more apps that can be made, the more attempts there are to have something really viral hit and really novel that does well within the crypto space. So I'm going to be watching that very closely. I remain encouraged by all of the activity and traction that is happening with caffeine, and I do think that over time should have a pretty good impact on the ICP ecosystem overall. So again, like I said, any questions, comments like that, drop those in the comment section below. And of course, like and subscribe. It does, of course, help me out, and you can stay up to date with all of the things that we are covering going on in the crypto market. So thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.